the journey.
The journey.
Yes. Oh, well, I've been in media for over 30 years on and off. My first modeling contract at the age of 15. And since then, I've done almost everything in front of and behind the camera. At the age of 23, I moved to London and I worked there for almost a decade in mainstream media. And then I lived in the Netherlands, where I went into independent media and set up an independent broadcast network called Conscious Consumer Network, which we ran for 5 years. And it was a community network built from scratch, run by us, and we worked with broadcasters all over the world. I think at one point we had broadcasters in 5 continents, and we've produced thousands of live broadcasts and worked with some of the most influential thinkers of our time. So it was an incredible time for us because we got to learn a lot about the world from people, and we sought out the knowledge. You know, we were seekers of knowledge. We love learning. We've got a passion for learning. It was a wonderful experience for our personal growth, for our education, and for making us very savvy in the way we navigate the world. The good thing is that, you know, having run a community network, I've got a lot of skill behind the scenes, producing, presenting, training, educating, journalism, investigative stuff. So right the way, it's the full gauntlet, the full spectrum of media understanding on all aspects, you know, whether it's in front of the camera, whether it's behind the camera, even just the knowledge base of how the media world works, both mainstream and independent. And then when we moved to the Algarve, we ran the network for a few years, and I started writing for a couple of local magazines. With the growth of independent media, the access to the internet, the ability for people to get editing suites on their computers and do content that's more unique and authentic to them, that don't necessarily have to fit into a mold. What you've seen is a plethora of indie media outfits evolving. And this is why we've decided to create Carvoeiro TV, which is an independent TV network which focuses on creativity. I think it takes all types to create a variety of content. Ultimately, we want to be able to create a network that comes from a very positive space, that's full of love. We embrace uniqueness, creativity, individuality, because ultimately that is where innovation is born.
Hi, I'm photographer Craig Rogers, and welcome to my new series, Behind the Lens. Every photograph tells a story, and of course there's also a story behind the making of the photograph. So these short videos are a little look behind the scenes of how I plan, take, process some of my photographs. And what a better way to start off with episode 1 than one of my most popular photographs, Lovers at Sunset. I love the simplisticness of this photograph. It tells a really good story of togetherness for me, and it's one of my favourite photographs and actually one of my best sellers. But it was actually a really simple photograph technically to take, and I'll talk more about that later on. But let's have a look first at where the location is. So you have to go right up to the north of the Algarve, right on the border to the Alentejo. There's a small village called São Marcos da Serra, which is in the Silves council area. I used to live near there, which is why you see a lot of my photographs there. Near one of the bridges that crosses the river, let's switch to street view, you will actually see that the nest is no longer there. So it is the nest that was on top of this lamppost. I'm not sure why it was removed. It was removed about a year after I took the photograph. Whether it's because engineers needed access to the lights or whether it was because it was dangerous, I'm not sure, but it's since been removed. So I took the photograph from over in this bank here with a long lens, which I'll explain later. But the idea was, as the sun was setting in the sky, I would be able to get a photograph with the sun right behind the nest and silhouette it. So let's talk about how I plan this photograph and indeed other photographs that I take. Well, I use an app called Photo Pills, which is available on both Android and iOS, and it's an incredible app to show you the angle of the sun, the time of the sun sets, the sun rises, the moon sets, the moon rises, even the Milky Way rises, etc. It's a fantastic app for photographers. So there's the lamppost in the middle of the screen that had the nest on it, and there's the pinpoint to where I took the photograph from. Now, for me to have silhouetted this in April, when I decided that I wanted to take this shot, remember this is back in April 2019, there was too many houses in the background, so I couldn't get the angle. So by using this app, I could fast forward through the days until I knew which day was the right day to do it. So if I just fast forward through the dates to the actual date I took it, which was June 29th, the angle, so the thin orange line is the time of day relevant to the angle of the sun, and the thick orange line is the actual sunset angle. That gave me the perfect opportunity because in the background I had clear sky. Okay, there looks like a lot of houses, but I didn't. I had a clear sky in the background. So that gave me the perfect time. Now, I wasn't bound to that same day. I could have done it on multiple days during that time period, probably 5 or 6 days that I had it. But I was lucky to get the shot on the very first day that I tried. But actually, it didn't quite go to plan when I first started. So as I explained, I wanted to create a silhouette using the sun setting behind. But I wanted the sun to be huge, to create this huge big orange glow right behind the nest. So to do that, I used a technique called compression. So if you imagine, when you see a full moon rise, it always looks huge as it comes over the ridge of a mountain or a building. It looks massive in the sky, but 10 minutes later, once it's risen, it looks tiny. Well, it hasn't changed in size, it's just the perception that you see against the buildings. So here's an example, also taken near São Marcos de Serra, of a supermoon rising behind an abandoned windmill. And I use this same technique for the stork. So what I've done in this photograph is I'm a long way away from the abandoned windmill. I think probably almost a kilometre away. I'm using a long lens. Now this is the lens I used for that photograph and also the photograph for the storks. I wasn't dressed in camouflage on that day because you don't need that to get near a stork's nest. So I stood on the bank I showed you earlier on, fixed the camera on the lens with a little bit of space above for the birds, and that would cause this compression technique and the sun be huge in the background. So that's pretty easy, yeah? So all I had to do was turn up, point the camera and shoot the photograph. Well, it didn't quite go to plan on the day. Okay, so some information for the camera techies. Photograph was shot with a Nikon D850, also the fantastic Nikon 500mm f4 prime lens, so the focal length is fixed at 500, and the aperture on the camera was set to f8. The ISO was set to 64 and the shutter speed was 6,400ths of a second. That resulted in the photograph being 7 stops underexposed, which created the silhouette. So if I'd left it up to the camera to decide, the camera would have tried to expose it so you'd be able to see detail in the nest and the birds, but of course I didn't want to do that. So I purposely underexposed by 7 stops. So anyway, I got there, set the camera up, the sun was coming down, it was about 10 minutes before the sun was due to set behind the nest, and there was just one bird on the nest. So I thought, oh, I'll wait, hopefully the other will return, hopefully the other will return. Then the sun got behind the nest and I started firing off a few photographs of one bird not particularly standing in a great pose. So this was the shot that I thought I was going to get of this day. And I thought, oh well, never mind, I've got a window where I can come back over the next few days to try and get the shot again. And I just turned the camera off, I had just undone the clamp on the tripod to remove the camera, then suddenly I heard the clapping noise of storks clapping their beaks. Now storks can't make a noise, they don't have any vocal cords, so the only noise they can make is either a hissing noise or they clack their beaks, and they can do that as a threat or as a hello. And I could hear one behind me, and I looked over my shoulder, and for sure there was one coming down, and it landed on the nest next to the other bird. So we have the bird on the right that was already, the bird on the left that was already there. The bird on the right had just landed, and for 1 second they looked at each other in the eyes, and then the one that just arrived sat down. But in that 1 second moment, I'd managed to fire off a shot on the camera, and this is the shot that that was made from that day at São Marcos de Serra. So there we have it, behind the lens look at one of my most popular photographs, Lovers at Sunset. Don't forget, you can buy wall art at the link shown above. You can also follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube to view more episodes of Behind the Lens. And that's all for now. Bye.
praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro. Uma vez eu vi meninos na praia do Carvoeiro. Uma vez eu vi meninos na praia do Carvoeiro. Brincando na praia, sim. Brincando na areia, brincando na areia, sim. Areia molhada, fazendo castelos, sim. Castelos de areia. As torres subiam, subiam, subiam para bem alto. E as outras paravam enrolando umas nas outras para enfrentar castelos de meninos. A onda ganhou, força! Destruindo castelos, castelo de meninos, sim! Enrolado na areia. E aí pescadores correram para salvar os meninos, ficando todos brincando na areia. E ali disseram: brinca na areia! Na areia! 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 Na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro. Ai, ai, quem me dera ser menino! Uma vez eu vi meninos na praia do Carvoeiro. Uma vez eu vi meninos na praia do Carvoeiro. Brincando na praia, sim. Brincando na areia, brincando na areia, sim. Areia molhada, fazendo castelos, sim. Castelos de areia. As torres subiam, subiam, subiam para bem alto. E as outras paravam enrolando umas nas outras para enfrentar castelos de meninos. A onda ganhou, força! Destruindo castelos, castelo de meninos, sim. Enrolado na areia. E aí pescadores correram para salvar os meninos, ficando todos brincando na areia. E ali disseram: brinca na areia! Na areia! Brinca na areia! Na areia! Brinca na areia! Na areia! Brinca na areia! Aonde é que é? Na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro. Segura, segura, não deixa cair. É pra dançar. Na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro, na praia do Carvoeiro. Ai, mamá! Ô, papá!
Do you have a business, products or services you wish to promote or advertise? Being an independent TV network, Carvoeiro TV is looking for advertisers and sponsors. Send us your ready-made media pieces, or we can create some material for you. For more information, get in touch. Let's share some ideas and create something beautiful.